each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. You would think that'd mess up my hair, but I don't have any more. I'm probably going to keep it this way. In fact, here, let's make a comparison. Kingpin. This is my Vincent D. I never say his name. D'Onofrio. He's one of my favorite actors. Here we go. Here's a good picture of him. So let's go ahead and share it. No one's here yet, so I'm going to screw around. I should be sharing on, but I don't care. All right. See? Sorry, because I'm watching it and I'm rooting for Kingpin when I watch it. So anyway, yeah. All right. So we're back, and I need to finish sharing here. Did I do it there? No, I forgot where I did that. No, I did not. There we go. All right. We got that done. Okay. That guy can meet at that time. Sorry about all the clicking. I know it's right by my... Probably get a new one. I'm thinking about redoing my studio. Hey, Daryl. It's good to see you, dude. Good to see you, brother. I'm just going to put this in the Trudging Together family. We're going to read out of As Bill Sees It, page 2. I figured it's 2nd of January. Everybody's kind of already read all the, all the stuff. But, yeah, I am doing better. I had some depression. I'm really looking forward to the 5 o'clock meeting. So, but, yes. Hey, now that the holidays are over, I don't want to hear any excuses as to why we did not see Dion. Okay. Thank you. In fact, let's redo that. I'll show you what look I'm going for here. This is one of my favorite actors right here. Mr. Vincent D'Onofrio. I wish somebody would teach me how to say his name right. He was in Full Metal Jacket. He was the guy that I don't want to blow it for you. He was in Law and Order, Criminal Intent stuff, but he's one of those guys where he just wants me. I just want to root for him. He was also the bug in MIB. So yeah, thanks. It's a process. I always seem to shave my hair at this time of year. If you're like, it's cold, I don't do it for cold. I do it for protection. It's a preservation thing for me. It's kind of weird, but it means don't fuck with me. When I'm like this, I can walk down through the mall and people will just part. But people, I don't know. I just feel better when I'm this way. All right. Let's get started. I'm going to read out of As Bill Sees It today on page 2. It does go into Alcoholics Anonymous AA comes of age. I may not go with that. So, yeah, it's kind of it, huh? Got a new sweatshirt. Live. This is my favorite band. Getting too warm now. A warm sweatshirt. And I got new shirts. So that's right. It says, did we just become best bubs? Best bubs. Because that's what Wolverine says. Hey, bub. You call me Blob? All right. So in God's hands. This last week has kind of been footprints in the sand for me. God's been carrying me. Girls are showering and getting ready to leave. Got the grandkids tonight. Some of the grandkids. That always helps. They at least make me laugh, So, yeah, footprints in the sand would be very much what, And if you're not familiar with footprints in the sand, I know everybody, at least watching right now, is, but um, it's a poem about how when life was going along, somebody had saw two footprints in the sand. But when life was hard and troublesome, and he noticed that, or they noticed that, um, there was only one set of footprints in the sand, and they made the assumption that they were walking alone. But really, that's when God was carrying him or them, right? Not only that, but let's look for those size of shoes. God's footprint's probably a little bit bigger than mine. So, all right, in God's hands. When we look back, we realize the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. That's why I don't plan the plan anymore. I would eat, yeah, and I'm sure I do this in recovery where it's like, something will move along and the plan doesn't quite go the way that I want it to, and I get angry. I'll get angry, right? But when I take it for what it is, when I take it for what it is, it becomes something different, and I don't always think this way. I wish I was on the plane of altruism at all times. I kind of wish I was, because gosh, life feels a lot better when I'm there. Life isn't necessarily easier, but it's more manageable. Now I was just talking with somebody, and they're working with somebody, and they said, I'm trying to get rid of the whole sponsee thing and just go with closed mouth friends, because I just like I was talking to somebody, I'm like, and I say sponsee, and it doesn't sit right with me, right? So I'm gonna try and move over to closed mouth friend, and because that's really what we are. There's been plenty of times when I'm working with somebody and they are helping me more. So and also we were kind of reading today, and I recognized something. It says to have a host of friends, right? And I realized that host of friends is the people that I have reached out to help. That's where it comes from. So I like bringing these things up because there's always more to learn. The other day I was thinking, gosh, man, I wish I was just naive and didn't fucking know anything. And then I realized I really don't. I really don't, right? Thank you, Daryl. Yeah. Yes, you have. It just feels like the sponsor, because this is what it feels like to me: sponsor, sponsee, and see how that person's below. I don't want to feel that way, and I don't want other people to feel like, and I don't want other people around me to feel like I may be better than or less than. Does that make sense? All right. I'm gonna get this light to work. Maybe I should just change the light bulb. But then what would I have to complain about? My favorite niece gave me this mug. All right. My favorite niece that's in Turkey. She's in Turkey right now. I miss her. So when we realize that, God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves, our higher power and that unsuspecting inner resource. See, and that's what it is, an authoritative. Like, I know more than you, and that does not feel altruistic. And it feels like it gives this sense of false power and control. Right? So, yeah. Maybe we should change it in the group, man. I think that would be cool. So, all right. My depression deepened unbearably, and this would be that the first part was from the big book, page 100. Next part is page 63. I didn't know this was in here. Because I've been going through depression. So my depression deepened unbearably, and finally it seemed to me that as though I were at the very bottom of the pit. For the moment, the last vestige of my proud obstinacy was crushed. All at once, I found myself crying out, if there is a God, let him show himself. I am ready to do anything. Anything. I gotta tell you something, that feels overwhelming to Dion. It does. I get it. I think it's awesome. But see how the brain can frustrate. Well, that's great for them, but it's not really for me. And then what am I doing? Well, I'm denying myself, aren't I? I'm denying myself of the love that I can feel from my higher power. Because there's a part of me that thinks it doesn't deserve it. All right? Yeah. Suddenly, the room lit up with a great white light. It seemed to me, in my mind's eye, that I was on a mountain, and that a wind, not of air, but of spirit, was blowing. And then it burst upon me that I was a free man. Now, this has happened to me. This has happened. Probably happened to a lot of you too, right? Maybe it wasn't sudden, right? But over a period of time, it thought, what is it? That I was a free man, that you were free. Yep. Yeah, there you go. See, there is one power, and it ain't me. And what a relief. What a relief. I mean, I used to sit around with my drinks and determine how the world should be run from my own, sitting in my own comfort, deciding exactly when and how everything should work in this world. Well, slowly the ecstasy subsided. I lay on the bed, but now for a time I was in another world, a new world of consciousness. All about me and through me there was a wonderful feeling of presence, and then I thought to myself, so this is the God of the preachers. Not sure where that comes from or what it is. I do have my own experience, though. This is my one and only sudden experience. When I went through the program the first time, I was on the third step, and I did the third step prayer with my sponsor, and there wasn't really anything. Just like I was talking with somebody else this week that I am extremely selfish about my higher power. It's the one thing in this world that belongs just to me. It's all my own. Nobody else can touch it. Nobody else can move it or anything else. The only person that could do that would be me, right? So I'm extremely selfish about it. Maybe that's not necessary. But I talk about, it's not like I don't talk about higher power, God, or anything. But when it comes to my higher power, I'm extremely selfish. What else am I selfish about? I'm selfish about my meetings. Yeah, I worked very hard to earn my seat. And not that I'm proud, but I am, but that took some time. So the third step hadn't really hit, and I went to bed a few nights later, and I've always done my prayers kind of the same. And the third step prayers always been in there, and I was reading Lord of the Rings at the time, and usually I would pray and then read until I fell asleep. I was just kind of, I'd wake up with a book on me, drool all over the pages, whatever. And I found myself, I was falling asleep, and I found myself saying the third step prayer. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and finish it. And actually, I think I restarted it over and redid it. And it was immediate, and it was overwhelming. But for the first time in my life, and I was living on Skid Row in a halfway house with a bunch of other dangerous drunks, I finally felt safe and secure. For the first time in my life, it felt like I was being cradled. It felt like I was finally loved for who I was, and that I had a father that was proud of me for doing what I should do. Yeah. We'll put that up and I'll rephrase it for you. We can be proud of our accomplishments as long as they are tempered with humility. Yeah. Let's just go to the book on it. So I was just reading this part, so it shouldn't be too hard for me to find. All right. I forgot where I was trying to get to. Okay. Here it is. Bottom of page 86 into 87, if you would like to follow along. It's just one paragraph I'm going to read. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here, we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We do not struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers will come if we have tried this for a while. What used to be a hunch or an occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. I call this part the Karate Kid part. Okay? And if you watched any of the Karate Kid movies, the first one of any series, you'll find that the student is learning but doesn't understand what they have learned yet until they put it into practical use. See, Daniel-san just thought he was cleaning Mr. Miyagi's cars, and he fixed everything up and painted and waxed on, and he did all sorts of stuff, right? And he didn't think for a second that it was actually being applied because he didn't know how yet. And it wasn't until the problem or the situation came along that he understood that he had the skills to do what he needed to do. Yeah. Right? And then he went on to win the state championship with an illegal kick. With an illegal kick. All right. Anyway. All right. Being still inexperienced and having just made a conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. Yeah, this way. In fact, maybe we'll go with that back to that part too. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We have come to rely upon it. All right, where's that discipline? There we are. It's on page 88. So let's go ahead and we'll go to the bottom of page 87. As we go through the day, we pause. When agitated or doubtful, we ask for right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves that we are no longer running the show, right? And it is a reminder. See, my default mode goes to running the show. And that happens when I think things are going well. That's when it happens to me. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement. Notice this first. Excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions? Foolish decisions, man. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange our life to suit ourselves. It works. It ... Actually, it's a slash. It really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. Now, the discipline we are talking about is not you got grounded because you didn't go to school. That's not what they're talking about. Think of it like structure, as a set of rules, a new set of morals, principles by which to live by. That is the discipline that we're talking about. Following direction. What are some of the disciplines we learn in the very beginning for a lot of us? Well, we shower, we eat correctly, we start drinking water. Those are disciplines in life. Praying is a discipline, right? But we alcoholics have this mindset of everything is wrong, so, or the way that we want. Yeah. But that is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. All right. That's going to be it on this one. These have been a little bit shorter as of late. I'm not sure why. They just kind of have been. So they'll probably get a little bit lengthier. It's, when I'm going through depression, it's hard to talk on a lot of things without whining and crying and going into other things, and where I want to be a good example, or where I want to be an example here, it isn't always good. Sometimes I'm wrong, but there's certain things just that I don't need to get into. So I'm trying to find the balance in that one. Yes. Very good. Yeah, it does become routine. Now, if I slip away from, and this is for me, if I slip away from meetings, if I slip away from a repetition, then that routine starts to fall apart pretty quickly on me. Like these last 4 or 5 days, actually last 3 days, I don't know. I've been hitting different meetings, not because I'm sick of the other meetings, things like that. I just needed a different view and people that just didn't know me. They didn't know Dion. Sometimes I like going to meetings where people don't know me, because then I get to be, it isn't that I don't always get to be me. There's just comfort in that for some reason. I guess I don't know why. I don't need to know why. Yeah. Even while going through this, I haven't asked God why. So sometimes depression doesn't have an answer to why you are depressed. And when that happens, then since my brain is geared towards finding a solution, then I got to find the problem. Well, when there's no problem, I start making them up, right? I don't need alcohol to do that. I don't. So, all right. Well, hopefully we'll see several of you at 5. I know a lot of people can't make the Thursday one, which is why we do Saturday also. But either way, it was good to see several people. I, for one, am glad the holidays are over, although I was glad to see a lot of people get out of town and do it, and enjoy themselves. I got some pleasure out of that, just so you know. Vicarious pleasure, but it's the right kind. Yeah, Julia, that's a good way to put it. It is a deep rest. When comes to this, sometimes you just got to sit with it. That's what I did yesterday. I just sat with it. There wasn't, and we had a lot of the kids over and stuff last night for the rest of Christmas. And, I got to do some laughing out loud. Made my kids laugh, things like that. It's been a long time. Been a long time. So, all right. But that's where gratitude needs to come in. That's where gratitude needs to come in. I had to make some more boundaries and stuff, but a lot of people know that. I do know this. I'll tell you this. My mom and I have been through a lot of things, but I still love her. I do. I love my mommy. Yeah. So, and guess what? She's human. And you know what? She makes mistakes. But you know what? I've noticed a lot. She's been correcting them. And I'm proud of her for that. I am. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Gotta get set. Well, it takes me like 3 minutes to set up the meeting, but the room will be open in about half an hour. I invited all of Vitality noon groups, so we might have a couple more people. And of course, if you're in that group, please feel free to invite people. If maybe you have a new sponsee or somebody you're working. Maybe you have a new closed mouth friend that you're working with. It's gonna take me a while to get out of that verbiage. Feel free to invite them. I think we should probably go ahead and start opening it up a little bit. I was being kind of selfish. The whole point was I just want to see my friends a couple times a week. That's all. But I was pretty intentional about that I was doing that. So, but I think it's beyond. It's beyond that now. At this point, my goal with it is to get it to a point where I'm not running anything anymore, because I don't really run it. I just show up, right? So, all right. If somebody would like to share tonight, that'd be great. But I already have a topic. It's going to be emotional sobriety, unless the group changes that. Could happen. All right. Thank you. I love you. Peace out and have a day.